Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor. And I want to congratulate you for enrolling in this new Lead the Field coaching program. And I want to encourage you to use it exactly the way we suggest. It won't be that difficult, but it won't be easy because you haven't formed the habit of using it yet. But you can get in the habit very, very quickly. It's a 120-day program. 120 days from now, you're going to need a telescope to look back and see where you started. This is a phenomenal program. Now, I'm going to tell you, I haven't got any doubt as to whether this works or not. I was losing. I always had been losing. I was 26 years old. I got into this program, it changed my life like night and day. I've earned millions of dollars. I have a company that operates all over the world. In fact, the company was so successful, Sandy Gallagher closed her law practice, and she had been very successful as a securities attorney to join me in this company. And we're excited about the new Lead the Field coaching program. We're excited about what it can do for millions of people all over the world. Let me tell you a little bit about the background of this program. Way back around 1934 in Long Beach, California, Earl Nightingale was around 17 years old. And he had been told as he started to grow up by his parents that don't seek wealth, don't want to be wealthy. Wealthy people aren't happy. But he said, I used to go down around the yacht club in Long Beach, and he said there were some beautiful big yachts there, very expensive ones. And he said some of the people on those yachts were laughing. They were very happy. But he said some of them weren't very happy. And then he went back into his own neighborhood where it was very, very middle of the road, ordinary neighborhood. And he said some of those people were very happy, but some of them were bouncing each other off the wall. They weren't happy at all. And he said, I determined at a very young age that it really didn't make any difference as to whether you were happy or not, as to whether you could be wealthy or not. So I decided I was going to be wealthy. Then if I was miserable, at least I could be comfortable, which was pretty good reasoning. But Earl started to study, why did successful people become successful? Now that has been studied by people for centuries. You can go far back, you can go back into the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Torah, the Bible, all of the religious books, all the scientific books. People have wanted to know, why is it that so few people really make things happen in their life, while so many others just level out and live almost the same all their adult life? It has nothing to do with intelligence, because some of the most intelligent people don't do very well. And some people who are functionally illiterate build big organizations, earn millions of dollars. It has nothing to do with gender, because both men and women win and lose. It has nothing to do with age. Some are fairly old and some are fairly young. Do you know what it has to do with? It has to do with understanding the laws of the universe. And that has been a subject that hasn't been that easy to study for a long, long time. I think we're making it easier now. The Proctor Gallagher Institute has been dedicated on making this study easier so people can get it without as much trouble, and get it a lot faster. And that's what you're going to find in the new Lead the Field coaching program. You see, way back in the early 60s, I got a hold of Earl Nightingale's Lead the Field. I ultimately went to work with Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant, his business partner, and I was studying this like a scientist. You see, I got a hold of this in the early 60s, and without any formal education, no business experience, I built a company that operated in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. I was earning over $1 million a year. When I started, I was earning $4,000, and I had a terrible record behind me. So what happened? That's what I want to know. What actually happened? I've been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I knew I wasn't very smart, but I was doing fairly well. I was raised to believe if you don't go to school, you can't win. I hadn't gone to school, but I was winning. So I wanted to know what happened. Now, I'd been listening to Lead the Field on these little 7-inch discs. There was a dozen of them. And I'd been listening to them over and over and over again for years. And I thought there's got to be more than this, because the information on here is not too mind-blowing. It's not going to give you a brain hernia. But I thought there's something happened to me. What happened and why? And I had difficulty finding anybody who could tell me. It took me 9.5 years. And it was while I was working with Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant that I figured it out. You see, when Earl made this, we lived in a different world. It was a totally different world. You know, we can communicate all over the world. There's as much power in this little phone as the power was in the computer that took the first rocket to the moon. Yeah. No, our world has changed and changed dramatically. Earl, when he made this, could not put all the laws in there because people wouldn't understand it. We didn't talk about the spiritual aspect of a personality, or that a person is a soul. They don't have one. That was left to religious organizations and scientific organizations, but not to a personal development company. They didn't bother with that. Earl buried it all in here. And it was through the repetition of listening to this, I listened to it on this little recording. It's rather strange. It's just a little battery-operated record player. And I used to drive around listening to these records. And it was the repetition of it that burnt it into my mind. When I started to study it, when I started to work with Earl and Lloyd and really figure out what's in here, I thought, wow. Well then, here a few years back, I went and I sat down with Vic Conant, who's the chairman now. Both Lloyd and Earl have passed on to the next phase of their eternal journey. And I talked to Vic and I said, Vic, I have learned so much about what's in this. I would like to create a program. And so together, we decided to do that. Sandy Gallagher and I sat down and we put something together. Look at it. There's 232 pages. Powerful information. You hear about the laws? The laws are all in here, every one of them, and we explain how they work. We explain what attitude is. Attitude takes in the three parts of your personality. You're a triune being. You live simultaneously on three planes of understanding. I'm not going to go into it all here in this introduction, but I do want you to get into it all. And I'm going to ask you to use this exactly the way we recommend. Now, that's not too difficult, and yet on the other hand, it's not too easy. You're not in the habit of using it, so it'd be easy to skip a couple of days and then come back. Don't do that. Make a decision that you're going to form the habit of using this the way we've suggested for the next 120 days. I guarantee you it will change your life. You'll need a telescope to look back and see where you are. We have designed this in such a way, Sandy Gallagher and I have, for you to get out of it what we have got out of it. It's very powerful, very, very powerful. You have to ask yourself, why is it that so many brilliant people struggle? And many brilliant people struggle. Do you know only 3 or 4 or 5% of the population really make it big? Most people just level out all through life. They never go after what they really want. We should ask ourselves why they don't. They don't because they can't see how to get there. You're going to find out as you start digging into this that you don't have to know how to get there. We will show you why Hillary got to the top of Mount Everest, how and why the Wright brothers got us in the air, how Steve Jobs did this. In fact, he pointed out you cannot connect the dots looking ahead. You can only connect them looking backwards. Very, very big idea. This is one of the most powerful programs you've ever got involved in. And it runs every day for 120 days. You will see your world just keep getting better. It took me 10 years to figure out how and why it works. It won't take you 10 years. In 120 days, you will be able to look back and you'll see every change in how it happened and you'll know why it happened. That will prepare you then to go off into the uncharted future. Don't just do what somebody else has done in the past. That's a repeat performance. Go where no one's ever been. That is what makes life really interesting. Do you know Lincoln said to believe in the things you can see and touch is no belief at all. To believe in the unseen is a triumph and a blessing. We're going to introduce you to the part of you that you cannot see, neither can anybody else, but you can understand. So dig in. Make the new Lead the Field coaching program the instrument that's going to give you everything you want, because it will give you everything you want. This is Bob Proctor.